Disclaimer, this is just for fun. Of course these character stereotypes aren't absolute. Don't give me any comments saying not all Dingodiles or I'm a Brio and I don't do this. These are just based on my personal experience and suggestions I've gotten. So just have a laugh. If you are a Crash Bandicoot main, there's honestly a lot that could be said about you because there's a lot of Crash Bandicoot mains. But if you've decided to settle on this character after trying everyone else out, or maybe you didn't even want to try everyone else out, your first Crash Bandicoot game was likely Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, and you're not in love with all these other guys yet. You're also likely not too concerned with the goal of the match. You just want to feel that platforming rush again, jumping on things, collecting Wumpa Fruit, smashing boxes. You likely skipped the tutorial, and you probably don't even know what a Wumpa Bank is or what you're supposed to do there. Despite Crash being in the Scorer class, literally designed to collect and deposit Wumpa, you always seem to forget or not even know about that depositing part, only scoring 100 to 200 Wumpa per match and making your team very angry. If you are a TAWNA main, you likely have a very questionable search history because there's no other reason you'd willingly choose this Dogwater character. Either that, or you landed her uppercut move on a Dingodile one time, saw it did half his health, and are now trying to recreate it in every match. You are very aware that she is the worst character in the game, but you are trying so hard to convince everyone otherwise. You are determined to be some kind of low-tier master and are absolutely determined to prove that your fictional crush can do a good job. You are also determined to convince everyone that TAWNA's change in Crash 4 was for the best, and that her original version had no personality, even though her Crash 4 version also has as much personality as a brick wall. You'll score a decent bit, but in most matches you'll spend a majority of your time trying to play her like a blocker because you fooled yourself into thinking she's strong. If you main Catbat, Crash Team Rumble is likely your first Crash Bandicoot game, and you're just here for that non-binary representation. That's cool, hope you have fun. But you're also terrified of conflict. With Catbat's extremely powerful mobility, you will avoid any fight as much as you can. You are also absolutely determined to never give your teammates your healing burger, and only hit enemies with it. You've played the tutorial, you know what the goal of the game is, and you're determined to accomplish it. But you do like to ignore the team part of Crash Team Rumble. You will spend most of the match avoiding all players, including your allies. You've also likely only ever played as Catbat, period. The concept of even trying anyone else just doesn't interest you. If you are a main of Dingodile, you likely got bodied by this character when you first started playing, and decided to main him out of spite because you couldn't beat him. And now that he's way tougher in the final release, you're thriving. Or you're just a huge fan of Crash Bandicoot 3 and are convinced it's better than Crash 2. And for you, finding out that Dingodile was going to be a playable character in Crash 4 was equivalent to a Kingdom Hearts fan finding out that Sora was going to be playable in Smash. Your playstyle habits as Dingodile will also likely include holding massive grudges. If a player on the opposite team gets on your nerves, you'll ignore the rest of their teammates that are scoring points just to chase down that one guy that made you upset. Even though you don't have the speed or the vertical mobility to do it, you are determined to bring them to justice, even if it means throwing the entire match. If you are a Brio main, you're actually pretty chill. You know the limitations of your character, but you also can't see a skill cap for him, believing he can just get better and better, so you'll continue to grow and improve your craft. You'll block opponents and defend the enemy bank with your life. Unless, of course, you come across a COCO with her Quantum Wall. When you see how much knockback the Quantum Wall does to your monster form and how it runs out the timer, you'll realize there's just no fairness in the world. You'll give up the goal and go on a rampage, attacking any opponent you see, regardless of if they have any Wumpa that you need to block or not. Also, as a Brio main, you are absolutely determined to never spend your relics on an epic relic station, even when you and the enemy team are neck and neck, and your team desperately needs your relics to claim it. You'll either die with all your relics, or spend them all on common relic stations whose abilities you won't even use properly. If you main in TROPY, no one even has to make you mad, you'll just go after everyone on the enemy team regardless of what they have. With your button mashable melee attacks and flurry of projectiles, you are absolutely convinced that Entropy is some kind of bullet hell monster. You are unaware of the limitations of your character, you don't pay attention to how her attacks do very little damage, and you're willingly oblivious to the fact that you can only overwhelm one opponent at a time, and as soon as their teammate jumps in to help them, you're toast. You will spam her slam attack over and over and over, and never learn when you're punished for it, even though it's super easy to dodge and avoid. And the main reason you're convinced that she's so good, or that her moves don't get you punished easily, is because your most used power-up is the healing fridge. So any mistake you've made just gets erased, and you don't improve. Either all of that is true, or you're just waiting till male entropy shows up. If you are a COCO main, you 100% understand your role in the game and what you're supposed to do. However, you have made it your life's mission to follow absolutely none of it. You never turn in relics, you never defend gem pads, and you don't deposit Wumpa. You desperately want to be a blocker so bad, but you're too impatient to deal with their slow speed, so you're trying as hard as you can to turn COCO into one. But because COCO isn't equipped to do that because of her low attack power, you mostly come off as just an annoying fly, missing all your slam attacks and just running around in circles spamming quantum walls. You are also absolutely convinced that COCO is the best and most busted character in the game thanks to her speed and the fact that you rarely die as COCO. Completely ignoring the fact that you didn't take down anyone either, and you also have the least points in all categories on the scoreboard. If you main Cortex, you are in it to win it, by any means necessary. You see Cortex as the highest difficulty character and as a result, the most rewarding, so you've learned to master him and claim that reward. However, like Cortex, you get a big head. You believe you are the best player in this game. You can't stand other Cortexes being better than you. Cortex mains are also the most likely to rage quit, getting way too easily frustrated with their team if they're not doing their jobs well enough. A competent Cortex with the Wumpa Stash power-up could easily carry your entire team through a match by themselves, but they have such an insufferable ego about it that it's hard to enjoy your victory. They're also probably the most annoying and obnoxious in the community and on social media. By the way, I am a Cortex main. Ripperoo and Engine haven't released yet, but let's go ahead and get them out of the way because it's pretty easy to predict what their mains will be like. If you plan to be a Ripperoo main, you are absolutely a Naughty Dog purist and are convinced that nothing past the Naughty Dog era has ever been good. You never leave the Titans era games alone even though they're perfectly fine, your one exception is Twinsanity even though it's a broken mess, and you complain about every little detail you don't like in the Revival era games even though you consume them like pills. You are also probably the loudest about not liking Crash Team Rumble's Battle Pass structure, but are the most addicted to it at the same time. If you're planning on maining Engine, you're likely a huge Spyro fan. With his round little body and lower positioned mouth, he feels very reminiscent of the character designs of lots of Spyro enemies and NPCs. You were likely a Spyro fan first and got into Crash later, gravitating towards Engine as your favorite character as he gives you a sense of familiarity. You likely got Crash Team Rumble specifically for the upcoming Spyro content and have set waiting for Engine as your goal, so the wait for Spyro doesn't take so long. But that's the end of this video. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree with these character stereotypes? What are some other mannerisms you've noticed in mains of these characters? Post in the comments down below and I'll see you guys next time. LeopoldTheBrave, out.